Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are in the world. This is Howie, and I'm here to help you win with money. In this episode of Back to School Basics, we're going to cover NFTs. Just a simple overview, NFT 101, and I'm going to demo it using something that may help you understand it. So I'm going to use a game that is already out there and it's been live with many players. So I'm going to demo that to you. So what is an NFT? So the first thing is most people don't understand this concept. In the financial world, think of it as like cash or a bar of gold or anything like an item that you pick up at Walmart, right? If you buy a box of Legos, if that box is damaged, you can exchange it for the same box of the same Lego product, right? You can't buy a $20 Lego box and say, hey, I didn't like this one. I'm going to exchange it for that $400 box, right? That's not a fungible, right, item. It's a different item. But think of it as my Tesla stock is the same as your Tesla stock. Your share of IBM is the same as my share. Now, you may have 14 shares and I may have 12, and that's okay, but they're interchangeable. So once you understand that, so what's the concept of non-fungible? So there's a uniqueness. There's this concept of the item is not exactly the same. And then if you look at dollar bills, actually dollar bills have individual IDs. But I want you to think about it from a different point of view. Let's think of it as a collectible item. And we'll start with something pretty obvious, like a hand-drawn artwork. Even if you draw the same artwork twice, it's not going to be exactly the same. And the first edition versus the second edition may have different value depending on the uniqueness of that picture. And I don't know anything about art, so I can't tell you what creates more value versus less value. But in cars, I get it. VINs, cars have a unique serial number. And this just happened literally 4 or 5 days ago. The brand new Chevy Corvette Z20, the Z06, VIN number 1, sold for $3.6 million at the auction in Scottsdale, I believe. Now, if you go and buy a Chevy Corvette Z06, you're not going to get VIN number 1. And your Z06 may only be worth $150,000 when you drive it off the showroom. And in fact, your car may actually drop in value while this particular one may always have a higher value. Will it always be 3.6? Don't really know. Because I know in the past when people buy these charity cars, sometimes the values actually drop in the future to whatever the market perceives as a fair value. So why talk about that? Because in the past, when you have digital copies of any asset, they had no value. Think of an MP3 when somebody handed you a copy of their song or a digital magazine or some type of digital art or whatever it may be. You can share it. There was no value. Your copy is the same as theirs. So what happened in the last few years that changed all that? Well, some of it has to do with this concept of the blockchain. Blockchain was introduced in 2009 with Bitcoin, and over the years, people started playing around with it, and NFTs were actually been out for a little bit. I don't know exactly when, but I know that in Ethereum, you can have the tokens where ECRs 721s. And so those tokens have been around for a few years. So NFT, this concept is starting to grow and people are starting to understand what it is. The other cool thing about these things are there's an embedded, for some of them, they have embedded smart contract logic that pays a royalty each time the object changes hand. 1-2% or whatever it's pre-programmed will go back to the original owner into their wallet. So every time you buy and sell, or not buy and sell, but whenever you do a transaction, this guy who created the original object will still get paid. Now, I don't think all of them are that way. Some of the game ones don't have that, but let's move on. So let's look at something to make this even easier, because I know not everybody understands this. Do you guys remember Magic the Gathering? or baseball cards or stamps or coins or whatever. Rarity, right, is what gives it value. And if it's perfect condition, it gives it higher value. In baseball card, that makes sense. If you have a very rare card that's only 10 or 15 around, and if you had it graded by the PSA and it's graded like 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever the grading system is, it's worth a lot. This photo here is Black Lotus from Magic the Gathering, and you can see it's worth about $160,000. Magic the Gathering was released in 1993, so this thing is almost 30 years old. And in the past, the prize pool for Magic the Gathering were about $1 million. The problem is, when they're $1 million prize pool, eventually you only get like 100 pros who actually end up playing every year, who make it into these championships. And it's really a smaller and smaller set of people who actually win. Obviously, the world was upset because in this thing here, I show you that they cut the prize pool and they only made it $250,000. Concept of Magic the Gathering is still being played today, just like Pokemon. So don't think that these companies don't know what they're doing. They're not just building these cards so that you put them on your BMX bicycle so they make a little noise like when it hits your spokes. There was a game involved. There's design behind these cards. And I'll give you an example of what some of the patterns are. So most of these concepts use a supply and demand to create value in whatever object or item you're doing. No different from a car or a card. They use some type of rarity. Is that card a common card? Is it a rare card? Is it an epic card? Is it legendary? The more harder it is to find, the more value it becomes. And then in a game, you obviously want to add some type of special ability or power to make it more useful than a common card. Now, there's some other things that these games can do. They create some uniqueness, either through things like breeding or by combining items together. But a lot of these games are built on like genetics engineering. So you get traits, and there's dormant traits and dominant traits, and if you get a special trait that was passed from your grandparents and it shows up on that grandkid, and you have this ability that no one else have. So think of a racehorse. If we had a digital racehorse card game, and for whatever reason I have this certain trait that makes my horse, toward the end of the race, he goes into full gear and top speed, and he can outlast or go like a turbo boost on a horse, and he goes faster than all the other horses, and it plays out in the digital card game that way, and that's a trait. And if that kick makes him win a lot, then you can tell that horse with that genetic trait, most likely when they have kids, when you breed it, the offspring most likely will have some of that, or they can pass it down to the next generation, may skip a generation, but it creates value in the offspring. Some other things to think about is like burning of resources or objects. But think about imagine you had a game where there's only 100 swords of Dragon Slayer, and during the battle it breaks and can never be repaired. Well, what does that mean? Well, now there's only 99 known valid versions of this sword. So now the value just went up. And so in digital gaming, you can simulate a lot of these type of situations. The last thing is NFTs are very popular with this concept called play to earn. And so it's a simple concept. The more you play, you earn something. In return, when you earn more, it helps you play better. And over time, what it does is it creates this balance where the more you play, the more you earn. What you earn is an asset that's within the game that generally goes up in value. So it creates a cycle where you can constantly keep on playing and keep on earning. And a lot of these games that I listed below have that concept. Some of them are more popular than others. Some of them, you can see that people play it overseas, because if you can make 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 bucks a day, you can live on that if you live overseas. Very popular in Asian countries like the Philippines, maybe even Indonesia or some other places. So it's getting very popular. Players farm, they build accounts, sometimes they resell accounts. That's nothing new. People in China has been doing like building accounts where you can sell it with like World of Warcraft, where you can sell it with a bunch of gold or a bunch of items. So that farming concept has been around forever. So a lot of these crypto gaming or blockchain gaming also want to take advantage of this global player base where everybody can profit from this. Okay, so here is Splinterlands, and you're not gonna tell that it's an NFT until I go into it. I'm gonna show you something really simple. You can see this is a deck of cards, and there is a marketplace, and each card has a unique identifier. So I'll show you real quick. This is saying there's a bunch of cards for sale, and you see each card has a unique identifier, and it knows who owns it. So you can actually click on it, and it knows that this is the card that I'm interested in. I'm trying to just see how far I can go with putting very little money in. So let's go to what I own. So I'll show you a really quick example of something. So let's just take a look at a card here. So I have 3 of these cards, each worth 4 cents. What I want to do is, let me see, can I copy the serial number? So what I did was I took a screen capture of the serial number. So I'm going to show you something really interesting. So in this particular card, I'm going to go into my other account here. I'm going to show you how fast this thing works based on the blockchain. So I'm going to do something like this. So I do have 2 cards or 3 cards, but I want to combine them. So look, you can hit this button here. These 2 ID numbers I think will disappear, and then it becomes a new one. So let's give it a shot. You cannot undo it. You see that? And there you go. Now I have 2 cards, and look, it's the UVK. Oh, so the first card merged, and it got rid of this one here. Yep. So look, now let's see the UVK, and then let's merge this again and see what happens. Here you go. We'll hit OK. And there you go. So now I just reduced my card count, but you see it's almost to the next level. You see how that bar grew? But the serial number just disappeared of the other cards. So this is what I was waiting for. It showed up on a different website. You will see that. Here you go. You can see that the updated card, it combined the previous one. So it got rid of one ID and it rolled it up. And then you'll see the same thing here. It got rid of one ID and it kept the original. So it rolled it up and it knows the property, the value of it. It's saying this one now has 3 cards in it. So this ID now has 3 cards. And you'll see that. You see this base card experience. So I just show you how simple this is. So this is one of the best way to understand how each card has a unique ID. Now, in this game, each ID doesn't make it uniquely distinct. There is no different traits between parents and grandparents. So this game works a little bit different. So it tracks IDs to track each individual card because it knows who owns each card. And as each card gets removed, so here you go. I went back to my card list and I wanted to show you what happened when you merge the cards. You see that? These are all level 1 cards. And this one is now about halfway done to the next level. And you see I don't have that number 2 anymore. And you see that I basically merged the card so I can build it into something else. And so I can do that with other cards. There's no reason for me to do it, but I wanted to show you how the blockchain will handle all that. It does it fairly quick. It keeps track of everything. It knows who owns which card. It's pretty smart. You can rent out your cards. Look, it knows which card I rented out. It knows which card. You see, it has this thing here. It even knows which user is renting it out. So I'm not going to demo the game, and I'm not going to explain the game. I just want to do a video on why NFT gaming is getting more popular. The user will own the assets. No longer do you buy a Fortnite skin, and if your friend have a Fortnite skin that you want, you can't trade it. Those digital assets were locked to the account. Nowadays, I can just click on any asset that I want that is mine, and I can send it. I can sell it. I can give it away. You see, you can just send a card to somebody. So you can send this card away just by selecting the player name, and it's gone. So I did demo this, and you saw how the IDs then did collapse. So one of the things that I want to do is, if you want to learn what I do using this game, literally it costs you $10, and it's really easy to do. You can just link it to your PayPal account where you can make the money. You can fund it with the $10. One of the things that I learned is, if you're just learning, you don't care. I wanted to learn, and that's what I did. I spent 4 months learning, and I really haven't gotten anywhere in the game. I'm still at the lowest level. I did win 3 or 4 cards since then, so it's not a lot. I didn't make any money. I probably made 8 cents. But if you spend 10 to play it, to get the spell book, you really didn't make much. But there are other ways to grow your account. For instance, if you use my referral link, you can use this link here, or whenever you sign up, it will ask you for the user ID. My user ID, I don't know why it has that line in there in this. Okay, so I did fix that weird screenshot. Not really sure what happened there. But one way you can grow your account is to use a referral link. And there's 2 ways to do it. When you're joining the game, it'll ask you who you refer by. You just type in solving-chaos. Or if you're just using a link, you can just copy the link that I'm going to paste below this video in the comment section. And by doing that, if you have a couple friends that join in, even the $10 spell book will give you enough credits where you can buy some common cards. Some common cards cost 3 to 4 cents, and your referral bonus may actually be more than that. So it's really not bad. I think your referral bonus is like 50 cents or something like that. It's not much. But it's enough for you to buy a few cards. So every time you refer a friend, even if you use my link, I can buy a few common cards and start playing. But I think I like this concept. This concept is, if Magic the Gathering has been around for 30 years, I really believe that something like this can make it. It's a game that can make it if you can last 5 or 10 years, where there's new players coming in. There's definitely a constant supply of or demand of people needing cards or buying cards to merge them. Then I think there are ways that this can scale, and that there are ways for everybody to benefit. There are a few whales in this game. There are people who have loads of cards, have every rare card in the game, every legendary. They already leveled them up. They're all max level. So there are a lot of people in this game that have it. What I expect is the number of whales or people with big accounts will grow as more players come in. And again, that dries up some of the card supply, because they're buying cards, they're going to merge them, and that's going to help. So in this game, that's how they do it. Cards get more powerful when you combine them. Every time you combine them, it reduces the circulation. So that causes an inflation, but it really is the supply-demand curve that we see. The other thing, most people who don't follow gaming don't realize how much money is spent on gaming. In the past, people spent a lot of money on games like Fortnite, League of Legends, whatever the other one is, that one with the ball with the cars, and then there's Call of Duty, but you can buy a lot of these in-game items, but you can't do anything with it. Most experts believe that money to be nearly in the $54 billion mark, and it's growing every year. What NFT gamers believe is, when you start shifting to the users owning the assets, even if you game, and at some point if you don't like it, you can sell your assets back to cash or some type of digital cash equivalent, whether it's Tether, USDT, or whatever you're using, whatever platform they have their own equivalent of. They're saying it's going to improve some of the gaming in the future, because then once I have, let's say, $500 in the game and I didn't want it, I sold everything I have, I can bring that $500 to the next game I want to try out. So maybe I'm done with race cars and now I want to go slay a dragon. You play that for a few years, maybe you made some money, I found a rare item, you can sell everything there and then move on to another game. So I'm looking forward to see whether or not that concept will actually work. So that's all I have for today for NFT 101, the basics. And again, I wasn't trying to explain how Splinterlands work, I was just demoing it. If you want to play, and again, if you want to join for $10, use my referral code. Easiest way to learn. You don't have to buy cards. You don't have to do anything. If you don't buy any cards, it's just going to take you a long time to earn something, but that's okay. If you're just using this as an educational tool to learn how NFT work, I suggest that you get into this game because it's $10. Most other NFT games are nearly impossible. Some of them require $200, $300, $400 or $1,000 worth of assets for you to do anything, right? Because in some of these games you have to breed, so you need two. You can't breed if you only have one object or one thing or one horse or one whatever the creature is. So you need two. And so that's the challenge with it. This game is just a card game where you battle other people. This is like a Magic the Gathering. Anyhow, hey guys, thanks again. Hey, comment below. Let me know if that helps you, if you have any other question with NFT, or if you're following other NFTs and you like some other projects. Give me a link below. Tell me which projects. Tell me why you like it. Tell me what blockchain is on, because I'm interested in following games like Soul Chicks or Star Atlas. Some of those newer ones are on a faster blockchain. It's not on Ethereum. So I've been keeping an eye on other projects that is based on Solana. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Hey, thanks again. Let's do this together. Let's do this $1 at a time. As always, have a profitable day. Bye-bye.